Hello and welcome to the show. This is Chris Reardon with today's United Kingdom talk. First of all, thank you so much for all your lovely little message. I can't say it. Thank you so much. Do it again. Thank you so much for your lovely little letters and especially all the Facebook messages concerning one of my cats, Tiny, the older one who died last weekend, unfortunately. Not a good start to the year, really, is it? That's the worst thing, I suppose. Me old cat dying. There's the ongoing trouble with the throat. Oh, it just goes on and goes. And add to that, I had a particularly bad night at one of the clubs last week. I won't say which one, but it was one of those nights, and other DJs will know this, where no one will dance to anything. Now, if you're a DJ, you'll know exactly what I mean. The requests were rather diabolical. Now, when you're in a club or something like that, if you want a request, that's great. I'm always happy to take requests. But for God's sake, choose something that people know. It amazes me. I mean, on when was it? On what day was it? I can't remember what day it was now. But we had a group of Americans came in who were really friendly and what have you. And they constantly come up with bands that I'd never heard with. And this happens quite a lot. When you go to another country, try and ask for some music that is known in that country. You know, don't come across from Italy or Spain or wherever it is telling me about this great Spanish band and you can't believe I've actually not got the record. If I put it on, everyone will dance because 99 times out of 100, they don't. They don't know the song, and they won't dance to it. Try and it's like even let's think of a pop. Let's take ABBA, for example. If you're going to ask for an ABBA track, choose something that most people will know. Don't choose the fourth track on the Arrival album or something like that actually not many people know. Choose the popular one. And that's what it was like on this particular night. We had people coming from other countries asking for music that I'd never ever heard of. I mean, when you came through Heathrow Airport, it did actually say United Kingdom on the top, you know? I mean, I certainly wouldn't go to Australia and ask for something very British that had only just come out over here that you wouldn't have heard of. I just wouldn't do it. Now, a popular band, or a band indeed that is gaining popularity very quickly in Australia, are the Presets. Okay? And we had a group of Australians the other week who kept coming. Why haven't you got anything but a Presets? Because this is the UK and we don't know them yet. You know, the sort of places I work in, I don't teach people music. There's a kind of a difference. You go to some of the underground, known as underground clubs, where you get brand new music, right, bang up to date, not been released yet. That's not what I do. I do the popular stuff. The stuff that's in the charts now, or indeed has been around for years. And what happens is that you get all these people asking for this music that only their little group knows and no one else knows, okay? And you put it on, of course no one dances. And this went on all night. This actually went on all night, so I kept changing the music. I did the rock music, I did the dance, I did the oldies, and by the end of the night, no one was dancing to anything except for about the last 20 minutes. So a very difficult night there. Really not a good start to the year at all. Going back to Tiny the cat, as I say, she was somewhere between the ages of 20 and 24. I was looking around on the internet actually about cat ages and that sort of thing, and a lot of vets seem to be under the impression, well, I mean they know what they're talking about. A lot of vets think that 8-9 years old is actually a good age for a cat, which I didn't know. So there you are. She had a nice life. I didn't mind at all, and so you shouldn't do, especially if you've got a little bit of money behind you. When it comes to paying out for cats or pets' health, any sort of pet, whether it's a budgerigar or a goldfish, if you've got a bit of money behind you and the animal is sick, then for Christ's sake, go out and spend it and try and sort it out. I was at great pains to tell the lovely lady vet who dealt with, I'll mention the name of the vet actually, Kynoosh, Kynoch, Kynoosh Vets. And I mention their name because they dealt with me with a great deal of compassion. I thought they were really good at the job. I mean, you couldn't fault them. After Tiny had been taken off me, I don't know if you want to see the last photograph that was taken of myself and Tiny, you can find that on my website, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right, unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Look for the show that's dated the 8th of January 2009. And there you will see the very last picture was taken of myself and Tiny by the vet. And literally 15 seconds after that photo was taken, my cat was taken into the back and looked after, only to fall asleep. So that is the last picture there. When I got home from the vet, I didn't quite finish the story off. We ran out of time in the last show. When I got home from the vets, I got a phone call from the vet saying, "Oh, hello, Mr. Reardon. It's the vet here." Now, the cost of all this, what was done, the consultation, it was all out of. Remember, it was out of hours because it was a Sunday and everything, and the injections and everything else was about £95, and I was reasonably happy. I thought that was a fair price for the care that they'd given the cat and the care, it has to be said, that they gave me as well, so that's all right. But while I was at the vets, they said, did I want her body back to bury in the garden? And I thought about that. But the trouble is, the last time I had a cat, a dog, unfortunately got one of my cats. This must be about 2 or 3 years ago now. And on that occasion, I called out the RSPCA because I didn't know. Yeah, I'll tell you what happened. I actually found, my neighbour found the body of the cat headless. So I thought something terrible had gone on with people. I thought someone had cut her head off. So I called out the RSPCA and they came round and then while they were dealing with me, someone came up and says, I did see what happened. Oh, what happened? A dog got her. So that kind of relieved it a little bit for me. The thought that someone, and there are people that do these things, the thought that someone would pick up a defenceless animal and cut their head off absolutely fills me with horror. If it was a dog, then it's very sad, don't get me wrong, but it's almost a natural thing, isn't it? She was just unfortunate. She had a death wish anyway. That would have been JD the cat. There were several occasions, stupid cow, she jumped down out of a tree right in front of a dog. She probably did the same thing. But I remember the RSPCA man saying, do you want us to take her away? Or do you want to deal with this yourself? I said, I think I might bury her in the garden. And the RSPCA man says, you must make sure you bury her very, very deep, because like 6 to 8 foot. Because otherwise foxes will dig her up and you'll find bits of her everywhere. And he said, that's just not nice. So I remembered the... Excuse me, can I just cough? Oh, yeah, that's better. So I remembered the RSPCA man telling me that. So I decided with Tiny I wouldn't take her body home, but rather I'd have her cremated. Now, at that point, you pay your money for what has been done so far, and you can walk away, and that's it, and they dispose of the body for you. But I elected to have Tiny cremated separately. So after that, a couple of weeks later, you can get the ashes back. You can have it almost a couple of days later if you want, but that costs rather a larger amount of money. And in my way of thinking, once a pet has gone, once a pet has died, it doesn't matter too much when you get the ashes back, whether it's tomorrow or 2 weeks' time. You know, your loved one has gone, so there's no point in paying out unnecessarily like that. Anyway, so the phone rang, and she says, we forgot to give you the information regarding the cremation fees. I said, okay, right. And I said to her, is Katie asleep? Is Tiny asleep now? She said, yes. She said, usually when you hand over a pet, once you've left the veterinary surgeon, within 10 minutes they carry out the task that has to be done to take away the suffering of the animal. So I kind of, that was okay, you know, I accepted that. Anyway, it turns out, how much do you think, okay, extra, forget the £95, quite happy to pay that, took away the suffering of the animal. How much do you think it, and I hasten to add, it's not the vet that cremates the animal. The animal goes away somewhere and is cremated there, and then they send the ashes back. Now, I had asked for Tiny to be cremated separately so that I get her ashes back. Now, I've got to say to you, it's a little bit like all this organic food business, isn't it? It says organic on the label, but how do you actually know yourself whether or not the food is organic? Similarly, I'm about to pay to have my cat cremated separately. So, presumably, they collect pets over a period of time, and they cremate them all together, I suppose, in one big, I hate to say it, but in one big oven. Or, if you pay extra, then you have your cat cremated separately and you get the ashes back. How do I know that it's Tiny's ashes I'm getting and not any others? Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is, we don't know, do we? We only have their say-so. That's what I said to you about the organic food. It may say organic potatoes reared without the use of artificial pesticides and chemicals, but how do you and I, as normal members of the public, how do we actually know that? I mean, we had this thing a few years ago here. No, not here. I think it was last year here in the UK, where a couple of the very large supermarket chains here, I can't remember which ones, but they'd been selling organic eggs or free-range eggs, and it was found that they weren't. So not only had people been paying the extra, and I'm one of those people, I always try and buy organic and free-range wherever I can. I can't bear the thought of purchasing eggs from chickens that have been tied up. Well, not tied up, but stuck in tiny little cages like that. That's a dreadful, dreadful thing. And you've only got their say-so. When you pick up that box and it says free range, I don't care how many guarantees you're stamping there on the back about the Soil Association, this, that and the other. I don't actually know whether or not those eggs are free range. I don't know. They don't look any different. They don't smell any different. Do they taste any different? Well, that's debatable. I don't think they do taste much different. But it's just, in my mind, I like the thought that chicken, and I can't stand these people who say they don't know any different. That is not the blooming point. It's not the point, is it? Huh? I want something little animals to be able to roam free. I feel sorry. I know you'll think I'm blooming stupid here, but I feel sorry. I mean, my sister's got a fish tank. And I look at those fish and I think they cannot be happy going round and round in that bowl for their entire lives. And I want to pick up those fish sometimes and put them in her pond outside. Now, some of them are tropical fish, so they would die probably within an hour or so because it's not warm enough. But isn't that better than being cooped up forever in a little cage like that, or a little bowl in that case? Anyway, back to Tiny's asses. So I had elected to have her done separately. And the fee for that alone was is 130 odd pounds, about 130 pounds, and that seems a bit excessive to me, doesn't it? You, 130 pounds so that I can get the ashes back. But of course, you know how it is, sentimental and all that. You just pay it, don't you? Don't argue. Don't argue with the vets. Well, I don't think it's the vet anyway. It goes to another company, so presumably they're just passing on the fee to you. I mean, as I said right at the beginning of the programme, very happy with that vet. Very compassionate. Dealt with the sick animal as best they could. And I thought £95 for all that on a Sunday afternoon was actually quite reasonable. But £130... just so that you can get your pet's ashes back, does seem diabolically high to me, doesn't it, you? It's a hell of a lot of money, that is. But of course, I will pay it because I've got this idea about life. Now, I am Roman Catholic. I should believe in the afterlife and heaven and all that. And I think I do. I shouldn't, but I do sometimes question things like that. I shouldn't. As a Catholic, you're supposed to believe everything you're told by the church, and, you know, I like going to church. Don't go very often. Would like to go a lot more than I do now. Time and work, you know how it is. But I have another idea about life, which over the last few months has kind of kept going over in my mind. And that is this. Okay? When you die, you're buried, perhaps buried in the ground. Plants can be put on top of you and they come up again. So there you are, you come back up with the plants. Now, I'll go into that a bit more in a second. Most people, I think, get put in a thick wooden box. It's all sealed, it's all varnished, all preserved. You've had a load of preservatives pumped into you. Then you go in the ground, very deep down. You get a couple of slabs of concrete put on top of you, and then a headstone. Right? So, we have tried to preserve our bodies for a long period of time. But surely that means that all the bits and pieces, and, you know, I hope you don't mind me talking about this sort of thing, but worms and all that, they have a job getting in that wooden box. They get in there eventually. So why bother with all that thick wooden boxes and all the concrete? Why bother with that in the first place? Because if you're doing that, you are stopping all the roots from plants and worms and things like that getting into that box. And then, because in my way of thinking, right, okay, so the worms get in the box, they start munching away at you, right? Roots come down from plants, they go into you, and then plants and flowers grow. So surely part or all of you is converted and you come back out of the ground as a daffodil or something like that. And we can sit here and laugh about it, but just have a little think for a little while. Isn't that a better way to do it? You go in this great big thick box. You are stopping all that from happening. So actually, you don't come back. Of course, you do eventually. Eventually, that thick wooden box will give way. Eventually, that concrete will crumble. But it takes a long time. Isn't it better to be stuck in the ground in a thin cardboard box, not too deep perhaps, and then have a load of plants put on top of you so they will go into that box and bring you up again as something else? I like that idea. I actually looked into this a little bit, and there are now forests where people can be buried in such a way. It's more of a green issue in that way. What the green people are saying is that, it's a terrible waste to have all these why spend a fortune on a box and have it buried and headstones and this, that and the other. It's not green. Well, no, it's not green. But putting the green issues aside to that, I just feel that the less box that you're in, so to speak, and the less stuff there is on top of you, the quicker you come back out of the earth as a plant or a tree or something like that. Huh? You got any thoughts on that? Let me know. Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address, all right? Chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Similarly, with cremation. Now, cremation, not my cup of tea. I don't want to be cremated. But with cremation, you're back into the earth even quicker, aren't you? Okay, so you go in this oven. They set fire to you. You go up a chimney as smoke, and immediately you become part of the air again. So the cycle turns round again, doesn't it? Although I gather that cremations are really... It takes a lot of energy to put someone back into the air, so to speak. In my case, with Tiny, yes, I think £130 to get her ashes back is an outrageous amount of money to be charging for such a thing. However, I've elected to do that, and what I intend to do, just as I was saying to you, is have a small plant patch area, or what's the word? Not plant patch. A small flower bed in a part of the garden. I'll sprinkle her ashes into that when they come back, and I shall put some plants, maybe flowers or a shrub in there. And you see, when the shrub flowers, there she is all over again. Have you ever had a pet that died like that? What did you do? Did you just take her to the vet, or him? Or did you have the ashes back, or did you indeed bury the body? Because as the RSPCA man said to me, you've got to go very deep to stop the foxes digging up your lovely little creatures again. And believe me, in that garden, it would not be easy to dig a deep hole. It's bad enough putting some daffodil bulbs in the September time. But what did you do with your pet when you lost it? Did you do the same as me, perhaps? Have a little area of the garden where you put the ashes and put a plant in? Do let us know on the email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Since Tiny went, Katie, my last cat, really, she's the only one now. First there were 3, now there's 1. But she has become ultra friendly. Indeed, regular listeners to the show will know I do have a bit of an asthma problem with animals, or at least I did until the beginning of December, and it seems to have disappeared. I have now started letting Katie into the main part of the house, and for the first time last night, she actually slept on the end of the bed, which was nice. That really was. Instead of the kitchen door now being closed, she was always able to come into the kitchen, so nice warm house. But not into the main part of the house because of the asthma. But last night I put something in between the door to stop it closing, and now she has the free run of the house. Last night she slept on the bottom of the bed. And then I got to tell you, next to the top of the bed, I have a cup of water. There's a cup of water here, actually. It's just like that. It's a cup of water. Right? And I was woken up by this slurping noise. And I kind of opened one eye. This was about 7 o'clock in the morning. And all I could see was Katie's bum stuck up in the air. And her head right in the cup of water, drinking it all. Aren't they funny? And then I think she woke me up about 8 o'clock. She started meowing. I don't know what she wanted. I said, go back to sleep. I sort of brushed her away, and then she went back onto the bottom of the bed and continued sleeping. But she was purring away. So I'll keep you informed of that. Hopefully the asthma has disappeared. I don't know why, but that was quite nice. And Katie has definitely been round me a lot more since Tiny went a couple of days ago. Right, how's the throat? Well, I've made an appointment at another dentist. An NHS one, actually, which was no problem. I thought I was going to have a problem registering. The only reason I went to the private one in the first place was because I'd heard all these stories that it's very difficult to get registered by an NHS dentist now. But I have an appointment this afternoon, actually, at 3:15. So looking forward to that. I know I've got an area of sore gum up there, right at the top there. And I do believe this is connected with my sore throat problem. So fingers crossed he's going to find this. I'll tell you what, a hell of a lot cheaper than a private one. God. Well, for example, a checkup. I've been paying for a checkup in my private dentist, £39, okay? Checkup in the NHS one, £16.50. So all the other fees are similar to that. Horrendous, isn't it? So we'll see, fingers crossed, he'll have a look today and say, yep, that's what's causing the problem. I hope so, because I'm fed up with this sore throat. Right, what else have I got here? Oh, no, just looking for my excuse me, hiccups now. Just looking for my accountant's letter, because I have to do my accounts every year, you see, and I send it off to my accountant, and I have to sign a bit of paper, and he says, here's my accounts, and I can't believe it, I can't see the word refund on my tax form anywhere. So clearly my accountant is not doing his job properly. Where is the refund, dear, from the tax people? Don't say I haven't got a refund. God's sake, how am I supposed to live? Where is my refund? Right, on to some emails. Oh, Susan, our cat lover, I have to tell you, a large parcel has arrived from you downstairs. Now, I'm sure I'm not going to have it open on this show, okay? However, hopefully on the next one. I'm not going to... Well, I've lied. I have had a little look inside. Okay, I've had a little look. I saw those little plastic things, but I haven't actually taken anything out of the box yet. I'm saving that for this show. All right, so we might do that on the next one. Right, email time then. First of all, as I say, thank you all for your lovely emails and messages about the cat. I'll read them out over the next couple of shows, all right? First of all, Wayne Anonymous says, hello, Chris. The loss of one's pet is never a pleasant experience. Through the years, I have developed a tradition of making a final resting place in the garden. When the plants produce their next batch of flowers, it is proof of the circle of life. You're in our thoughts from Wayne. And that's what I mean, Wayne. That is exactly what I mean. I'll be honest, I would rather have buried her whole body rather than just have her ashes back. But it's... the thought of foxes and actually digging a hole 8 foot down, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I honestly don't think I'd be able to get down that far. I mean, it's hard enough, especially, and now, of course, we're in the middle of the winter here in the UK, and it's very cold. We had minus 11 in some places this week. Yeah, minus up in Scotland. Here in Berkshire, we had minus 5. And you just never get the spade in the ground. And you can't hold... See, I mean, the thing is, you can't hold on to the body until the ground warms up, can you? It'd be like 4 months. So I probably did the right thing. Thank you for that one, Wayne. Also, got to say hello to Robbie, who started watching the videos as well. Hello, Robbie. All right, my dear. Welcome along to the show. And another one here from Wayne, who says, "Hi, Chris. I just noticed that James Dean from matineeshow.co.uk, okay, he does a podcast, matineeshow.co.uk. I just noticed that James Dean has blamed you for giving him the flu. James made that post on his Facebook page under my suggestions as to how he became ill." Well, of course, I mean, that's one of the things James Dean does, isn't it? He does his best. He tries to turn people against me. He's been doing it for years. Jealous. That's what it is. Jealous. Absolutely hates me. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was him who instigated the removal of United Kingdom Talk from that tiny little radio station that he does his show on. I'm convinced it was him. I really am. Did you see any of the... Have a look at matineeshow.co.uk. Have you seen what clothes he wears to meet these celebrities that he likes to interview? Oh, I've said this before. He turned up at their houses in scruffy old T-shirts. His hair... I mean, okay, if you haven't seen James Dean before, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's hardly a celebrity himself, is he? But if you haven't seen him before... but you have seen Boris Johnson, liken his hairstyle to the same hairstyle as Boris Johnson. And I believe, looking at Boris Johnson, of similar weight as well. It's no effort. Well, here I am. Look at me here. Here I am, tried to do my hair a little bit. I can't do much on my hair. It's getting a bit thin. I've got a nice shirt on. I try and make the effort. He turns up for work in a scruffy old T-shirt and a pair of tracksuit bottoms. I mean, I don't think the T-shirt's been worked. I mean, have had a couple of his celebrity friends on the phone to me, complaining of the stench of BO when he's interviewing them. It's terrible. I mean, it doesn't cost a lot to wash your clothes, James. Anyway, back to the email. Speaking of the flu, well, he probably did get the flu. I sent it down the phone to him. Now, you see, once a year, I have the flu injection, which is supposed to stop you getting certain nasty strains of flu that may be around. But I have a feeling I'm a carrier. Yes, I'm a carrier. So although such evilness and bacteria and viruses cannot hurt me, I can give it to someone else, and I'm only too pleased to pass it on to James Dean again and again and again. Wayne says, speaking of flu, Gemma, one of our loyal listeners and friends in Spain, just sent me a message saying that she had been ill with the flu for the past few weeks and is now feeling well enough to get out and about again. Yes, I mean, you certainly know when you've had flu. There's a lot of difference between a heavy cold and flu. You damn well know when you've had flu. I think I can honestly say I've only had it once, and you think you are going to die. You get in that bed, you're shivering away. Eventually, you might be lucky enough to get to sleep. And when you wake up, the bed is absolutely soaking, dripping wet. And let's face it, boys and girls, the last thing you want to do at 3 o'clock in the morning is get up, shower that sweat off, and change the blooming bed sheets, isn't it? It is the most awful thing, flu. And that's if you can move. Usually you're laying there in your own sweat and you can't do a thing. It is the most awful thing, flu. It really is. So I'm glad you're better, Gemma. Did you have all the sweats? I know it's horrible, isn't it, my love? Wayne says, being the rascal that I am, I asked Madam Aries. Now, Madam Aries is the co-presenter of matineeshow.co.uk. She's the nicer one of the two. I asked Madam Aries, she's also known as the old dear. Okay? If you ever email into the matineeshow.co.uk, then, feel free. Dear Madam Aries, and put in brackets, old dear, close brackets. She likes that one. I asked Madam Aries if she would be conducting auditions for James's replacement if the poor lad falls victim to the Liechtenstein flu. I told Madam Aries that I would require 4 weeks advance notice to stow away on a cargo ship, swim past customs with scuba gear, and then hitch a ride to Tameside. Perhaps... Is that where... Are you going to Tameside, are you? Oh, you'll have terrible trouble. It's only a tiny place. Very insignificant, dear. Tiny place it is. It's not like Berkshire. You say, could you tell us where Royal Berkshire is? Usually they say to you, are you going to the Mirable Studios? Everyone knows it round here, dear. Oh, yes. It's true. Wayne says, perhaps Ross P. Now, Ross P., another podcaster, rosspatzout.co.uk if you want to see his stuff, okay? rosspatzout.co.uk. Perhaps Ross P. could give me a lift in his delivery van. Did you listen to Ross P.'s Christmas special? Now, I'm all for singing, as you know, the occasional song. My God, that must have been the first 10 minutes of his show were just Christmas carols. It was a bit much, Ross. I had to fast forward on my MP3 player that then refused to work at all. I've got a dead MP3 player now, and I'm sure it's you. I'm sure it's you that broke it, singing them blooming Christmas carols. What's going on there? And Ross was moaning. I did hear him moaning. I think he went shopping. Was it on the 27th of December last year? And he was moaning because he turned the radio on and heard Christmas songs. And he's like, why are they singing Christmas songs on the 27th of December? It's over. No, it's not, Ross. Clearly, you have no idea of the term, the 12 days of Christmas. Okay? Decorations, carols, little ornaments, little pictures of the baby Jesus can all remain up until 12 days after Christmas. Don't be such a blooming killjoy. Oh, dear me. Don't like Christmas. Can't have Christmas songs over. He said it's over on the 27th. It's not over on the 27th. The party goes on and on, dear. It really does. Especially here in the Mirable Studios. Yes. In fact, I've got a good mind to go over to my cupboard now and go and get my Christmas tree out and put the sparkling lights on all over again just to annoy you. Don't be miserable, Ross. I know that you now got a girlfriend and you're living with her, and that's what happens, I'm afraid. You become a miserable old git. And it's happening already. You've only been with her a year and a half. And you've become a miserable old git already. I'm worried. I'm very worried. I'm glad that I'm not a miserable person at all and never complain about anything. Now, Wayne says, perhaps Ross P. could give me a lift in his delivery van. What, to Tameside? He wouldn't be seen dead there. God almighty, what do you think? You don't want to go up north unless you can help it, Wayne, I'm telling you now. You'll have nothing left. People drive up north. Or they drive to go to Scotland or something like that. And as they get towards the sort of Manchester Tameside area, you've got to put your foot down. Because if you go any slower than 50 mile an hour, they're likely to have your wheels off as you go through the motorways up that way. Oh, it's horrendous, dear. How do you think James Dean and Madam Aries furnished their places? They're thieves. Thieves breaking into people from the nice, lovely people from the south, like myself. Law-abiding citizens. That as they drive up there, they steal all their belongings. It's terrible. Terrible, dear. Wayne says, I did make some recordings for your United Kingdom Talk programme, but I cannot figure out how to send them to you. Too big for email. Perhaps a carrier pigeon carrying an SD card would work. There is a thing called... I think it's sendit.com. Okay, sendit.com, and basically you send your email to this site and it sends me a link. It's like a bit like a server. It sends me a link, and then I hit the link and go on to it. So that is available. I think it's sendit. I'm not actually sure of the correct title for that. I think it's sendit.com. All right? Hope that's helpful, Wayne. Now, look. Because of all the business we had on the last show, I was unable to get... I shall never hear the end of this, you know. I was unable to get to a birthday. Well, now it's come. Hang on. I wish I had the tune ready. Hang on a minute. What have I done wrong? Oh, there it is. One minute. Da, da, da. It's birthday time, boys and girls. Here we go. Birthday time. Do you know whose birthday it is? Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Suko. Happy birthday to you. Ow. Suko's birthday. Happy birthday, Suko, darling, all right? I'm sorry we couldn't get you in on the last show, my love. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Let me go. For I don't love you anymore. Happy birthday, Suko. Did you get some nice gifts? What did your husband Jerry get you, eh? Apart from that one-liner that he sent me on the email. God, what a cheek. Pretending. Suko, yes, Jerry sent me a two-line email pretending to be from Suko. And Suko was very concerned and wrote to me quickly and said it wasn't her. I know that. What did Jerry get? Did Jade get you something nice? Do let us know. Your Christmas gifts, your birthday gifts. So close. You've got a close birthday to me, haven't you? Mine's on the 5th of February, dear. Yes, close birthdays together. I am Aquarius. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Aquarius. Or as they used to call me at school, Aquarius. Not quite sure why that was. Chris@UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk is my email address. Now, as I say, there is a large parcel from Susan downstairs. I'm quite excited to find out what's in that. Probably on the next show, okay? And she writes here, sorry it missed Santa's sleigh. This one has the autographed drink voucher, a CD with all the pictures of the Dallas reunion, and an 8x10 picture. Hope you enjoy it. I hope you are having or have had a wonderful holiday. I cannot wait to look in that box, but don't worry, Susan. I will not do it until the box is up here and we have a spare 5 minutes, all right? I won't look at it. I cannot bring myself to do that, my darling. Now, look who it is. It's young Matthew from Canada. Hello, Matthew. He wrote us a couple of weeks ago. Glad to see you received my card. Yeah, he sent in a Christmas card here to the Mirable Studios, so thank you for that, Matthew. To clear up the issue about the using the word Christmas, as you mentioned, your government tries to use the word holiday instead of Christmas. I have to say, last couple of years, we've had a lot in the paper about people not using the word Christmas, but festive holiday and holiday season and all this business. This year, it doesn't seem to have happened so much. I think people are fed up with it. I hope to God that the councils and the people who run this damn country, the United Kingdom now, I hope they have started listening to people. You see, all these people in council offices and what have you, they should remember that they are our servants, not our masters. A lot of them think they are our masters. They get voted in and think they can go about doing whatever they want to do. But I do feel that people power is becoming a little bit more noticeable. It was a very interesting show on the other day. I mean, the last thing that anyone would want to do would be to incite riots or anything like that. But I think large groups of people, for example, countries, I think if they are pushed far enough, then all hell breaks loose. We saw it years ago here in the UK with the poll tax introduced by Margaret Thatcher. Big riots in the middle of London. For what it's worth, the poll tax to me was a better way of doing it, you see. But then again, I'm a man on my own. Now, the poll tax, if you're outside the UK, you may not know what all this was about. But we have a local tax here. At the moment, it is a council tax. Each house is valued, okay? So my house has been valued. And I pay whatever is the tax for my side of house. Now, my size of house, that's how it works. That's how it's worked for years. When Margaret Thatcher was in power in the early 80s, I think late 70s, early 80s. Was it early 80s, I think? She introduced a poll tax, which she said was fairer to everyone. What they did was counted all the people and split it up so that each individual person paid the same amount. Now, of course, this was great for me, living in a house on my own. My money went down, my payment went down. But you see, the problem is, for people with 4, 5, 6 people in a house, it went up astronomically. And it was one step too far. And there were riots on the street and everything. And I sometimes wonder, with a lot of the stuff the government do, taxes, indirect taxes, left, right and centre, fines, some of them quite substantial fines now. And some of them not fair. Take a parking fine, for example. We've all got these stories. I've got 2 myself of receiving a parking ticket when one should never have been issued. Now, in times of recession like now, we are not doing well. And I think there's a hell of a lot of difference between trying to fine someone £120 when they've got a job and then trying to fine them £120 when they don't have a job. How on earth are they supposed to pay it? And over the last few years, fines for various different things, and certainly the motoring offence, have just gone up and up and up. And I wonder, are we getting to the stage now where people are going to be pushed over the edge and start taking matters into their own hands? It's very worrying. It's not good for a society like that. And the police, of course, unfortunately, are right in the middle. They have to do what the government says, even though I happen to know myself personally quite a large number of policemen. Good friends of mine. They don't always agree with what the government's doing. And I wonder, with the amount of taxes, this, that and the other, the council taxes are going up again. Train fares have gone up by 6 to 7%, which is outrageous. Outrageous. Especially in a time where people are very strapped for money. Why is it that certain companies are allowed to keep putting their prices up like that? It can't be right. And I just wonder if people are being pushed onto the edge and we're going to see the sort of thing we had with Margaret Thatcher again. Very worrying indeed. And going back to your email, the whole Christmas thing, hardly heard a word about it. In fact, I didn't hear anything about it. I didn't hear of any council that were coming out and saying, no, you can't call it Christmas, it's festive time. You can't call it festive time. It is Christmas and that's it. Or was Christmas. And of course, before you know it, the next one will be round again, won't it, eh? Oh dear. Matthew says, well, our government has been doing the same, and over the recent years, this is Canada, have made it known that using the word Christmas, whether it be in letters, cards, would or could be considered offensive. But for the record now, that I know you are totally cool with the use of the word, I will be sure to use it in all the Christmases to come. No, I mean, Matthew, I don't think you need to worry that someone's going to be cool or not with the word Christmas. You're being politically correct here. You don't want to go down that level, I tell you, because it's just nonsense. Do not worry ever about using the word Christmas or whatever it is. Do Jewish people avoid using the word Hanukkah in case it offends people? Of course they don't. Do Muslims avoid using the word Ramadan in case it offends people? Of course they don't. So why on earth shouldn't Christians use the word Christmas? Same thing. So don't worry, because, Matthew, the only people that appear to be offended by such words are people who work in local government and have got nothing better to do than sit on their fat behinds thinking of how they can be offended next. They are sad, lonely people who have got far too much money and sit there looking for offence. Don't ever worry about using that word, or indeed anything else, any other religious word, whatever religion you are. Don't worry about using your own religion's words, because we're not offended. As a Christian, I'm not offended. Very, very good friend of mine is Muslim. He's lives in London. Okay, I rang him up a while ago. Shall we go out for dinner? I'm sorry, I can't remember when the month. What about October time? He says, no, we're on Ramadan at the moment. I can only eat between certain hours. I wasn't offended by that. What did you think I was going to say? I'm offended by you not coming out to dinner. Absolutely not. I respect that. I absolutely respect that. And similarly, he rings me up. Happy Christmas. Now, Christmas means nothing to them, but he said, Happy Christmas to me. He wasn't offended. Sent me a card. Don't be offended. Don't be offended by your religions. It's only the extremists, and all religions have extremists. They do. There are Catholic extremists who will stick by the letter of the law. Matthew goes on to say, anyway, on to another matter. I've been researching the interest in these stupid hats you've been talking about. Oh, not the hats again, please. Anything but the hats, please. Not the hats. And what I've found is that in nearly every part of Canada where I have friends, there is a common thought about them. They are ugly and just all out horrible. These are the hats with the pigtails, you see. It appears that Canadians clearly want nothing to do with these hats. I might have to move then. Can you get me a little 3-bedroom house with a nice large garden there? So if you're ever feeling like there's no escape from these hats where you are, you can get a sense of freedom by coming over to Canada, as I'm sure you will rarely come across them. I might just have to do that. Do you have any dangerous animals in Canada? Just interested. Spiders, snakes, large animals. I think you might have bears there. What dangerous animals do you have in Canada? Be interested. Can you let us know? Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Or not dangerous, wild. Well, some are wild, some are wild and dangerous. So what do you have there? I wanted to mention as well that when I looked up at my phone bill the other day, that I am the one ringing all of my mates, and maybe 2% of them ever ring me. What a liberty, dear. Yeah, I told you about that, didn't I? Don't ring them. Cut them off. Delete the number. It's not fair that you should make all the phone calls, Matthew. I'm thinking that we'll have to take the same steps as you are taking and start removing some of them from the book. What is this world coming to, he says. I love your emails, are great, boy. It's a good thing that there are people like you and I who do actually take the time and actually ring our mates. Over the past few weeks, I've also been having the same trouble as you when it comes to not using wrapping paper. Don't waste your money ever on wrapping paper. Put it in a carrier bag and put a bit of tape around the bag. That's all you need. It's a waste of money. It's like the rest of this blooming world we're living in. Everything wants this, like, pretty bit of wrapping paper over the top. Take the wrapping paper off and see what's underneath. What's underneath the wrapping paper is by far more important than the paper. All right? Look at some of the governments of the world. Oh, by the way, in America, how's your man doing, Obama? We like Barrack. Very good looking. We like Barrack. Matt goes on to say, I try to explain to people that if they just go ahead and think of the concept of a whole, when it comes to all this fancy wrapping paper, there is just no need for it. But it seems that everyone else knows best and they just keep wasting all their dollars away on it. Yeah, but don't let that be you. Just because they give you a present in wrapping paper doesn't mean that you've got to wrap it up. You've got to break the habit. Break the mould. Give it to them in a carrier bag, okay? Would you believe that I had a mate and his wife spend £110 on wrapping paper? Oh, it's just mad. That is mad. Well, no matter what they do, I will just continue to keep hearing how tight I am and go about my business. Yeah, you and me alike, Matt. I was also hoping that you could help me find a recipe for snowball cookies, as I enjoyed baking, and those do sound quite fantastic. Thank you very much for all your time again, Chris, and I hope you have a lovely day. From Mr. Canadian Bacon, Matthew from Canada. Thank you, Matt. I did have a snowball cookies thing, but we're at the wrong time of the year to do that. You'll have to wait till next Christmas for that, and hopefully Sugo will send it in. Right, I've run out of time again. Loads of emails here. I'm sorry. If you're waiting for your email to come up, you know it will. Okay, I promise you it will. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk is my email address. As always, thanks for watching and listening to the show today. I'll see you on the next one. From myself, Chris Reardon. Bye-bye now.